Have you ever watched a movie and found yourself genuinely terrified of the villain, not because of special effects or jump scares, but because the actor made you believe they were truly evil? There's one man who's so convincing at playing monsters that Hollywood keeps casting him as the bad guy, even though in real life he's reportedly one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. Gary Oldman has spent decades perfecting the art of becoming someone else entirely, and his villain performances are so intense that they've literally changed how we think about screen antagonists forever. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating psychology of an actor who disappears so completely into his roles that you forget Gary Oldman even exists. We'll explore how his transformative approach to villains has influenced an entire generation of performers, examine the dark characters that made him a legend, and reveal the surprising truth about what it's really like to be Hollywood's go-to psychopath. But first, let me paint you a picture that will blow your mind. Imagine watching 3 different movies featuring 3 completely different actors. The first is a corrupt DEA agent with a distinctive Southern drawl and an unpredictable violent streak. The second is a classical music-loving psychopath with a refined British accent who quotes Beethoven while committing murder. The third is a disfigured terrorist with a gravelly voice who wears a mask and speaks in theatrical riddles. Now here's the kicker, these aren't 3 different actors. They're all Gary Oldman, and if I hadn't told you, you probably would never have guessed. This level of transformation goes far beyond putting on different costumes or changing accents. Oldman doesn't just play villains. He inhabits them so completely that the line between actor and character seems to vanish entirely. When he portrayed Stansfield in Leon the Professional, audiences weren't watching Gary Oldman pretend to be a corrupt cop. They were watching Stansfield himself, a man so unpredictably dangerous that every scene he appeared in crackled with tension. What makes Oldman's villain work so extraordinary isn't just his ability to be scary. It's his understanding that the most terrifying antagonists are the ones who believe they're completely justified in their actions. Take his performance as Jean-Baptiste Emmanuel Zorg in The Fifth Element. On paper, this character could have been a forgettable space villain, but Oldman infused him with a twisted philosophy about destruction being necessary for creation. He delivered lines about the beauty of chaos with such conviction that you almost found yourself nodding along with his warped logic. This psychological depth separates Oldman from actors who simply play bad guys as one-dimensional monsters. His villains aren't evil for the sake of being evil. They're complex individuals with their own moral codes, twisted though they may be. When he played Mason Verger in Hannibal, he didn't just portray a man seeking revenge against Hannibal Lecter. He created a character whose physical disfigurement was matched by an internal corruption that felt absolutely authentic. The preparation Oldman undertakes for these roles is legendary in Hollywood circles. He's known for spending months developing not just the voice and physicality of his characters, but their entire psychological profiles. He creates backstories that never appear in the script, understanding their childhood traumas, their first moments of moral compromise, and the gradual descent into darkness that shaped them into the villains we see on screen. This methodical approach has created some of cinema's most memorable antagonists, but it's also raised questions about the psychological toll of constantly inhabiting such dark characters. Other actors have spoken about the difficulty of playing villains, describing how negative emotions from their roles sometimes bleed into their personal lives. Yet Oldman has managed to maintain this extraordinary career while reportedly remaining grounded and genuinely pleasant off-camera. The impact of Oldman's villain work extends far beyond his individual performances. He's essentially redefined what audiences expect from screen antagonists. Before actors like Oldman brought this level of psychological realism to villain roles, bad guys were often cartoonish figures you could easily dismiss. His performances proved that audiences craved complexity in their antagonists, paving the way for the nuanced villains we see in modern cinema and television. Consider how his approach influenced the way villains are written and performed today. The best contemporary antagonists share that Oldman quality of absolute conviction in their beliefs. They're not mustache-twirling caricatures, but fully realized individuals whose motivations feel disturbingly logical within their twisted worldviews. This shift toward psychological realism in villain portrayals can be traced directly back to groundbreaking performances like his work in the early 90s. What's particularly fascinating is how Oldman's villain roles have actually enhanced his range as an actor rather than limiting it. Many performers who excel at playing bad guys find themselves typecast, but Oldman's transformative abilities have allowed him to seamlessly transition between villains, heroes, and everything in between. His Oscar-winning portrayal of Winston Churchill proved that the same skills he used to disappear into villainous roles could be applied to bringing historical figures to life with equal authenticity. The technical aspects of his villain transformations deserve recognition as well. Oldman works closely with makeup artists, costume designers, and voice coaches to create complete physical transformations. But unlike actors who rely primarily on prosthetics and special effects, his changes seem to come from within. The physicality shifts, the voice changes, and even his facial expressions become completely different from role to role. This chameleon-like ability has made him invaluable to directors who need actors capable of completely inhabiting challenging roles. When Christopher Nolan was casting Commissioner Gordon for his Batman trilogy, he specifically sought out Oldman because he knew the actor could bring depth and authenticity to what could have been a thankless supporting role. The fact that Oldman had previously played such memorable villains actually added weight to his heroic turn, as audiences familiar with his darker roles brought that knowledge to their viewing experience. The longevity of Oldman's career also speaks to something deeper about his approach to villain roles. While many actors burn out from playing intense characters, he's maintained his passion and energy for decades. This suggests a level of emotional intelligence and self-awareness that allows him to access these dark places professionally without being consumed by them personally. Looking at the broader landscape of contemporary cinema, we can see Oldman's influence everywhere. The current golden age of television has given us complex antagonists like those in Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones, and countless other series where the villains are as compelling as the heroes. This trend towards psychological complexity and antagonist development owes a debt to actors like Oldman who proved audiences were hungry for this kind of depth. As we move forward in an era where superhero movies dominate the box office, the need for compelling villains has never been greater. The most successful recent films in this genre have featured antagonists with clear motivations and understandable, if misguided, goals. This approach to villain development reflects the standard that Oldman helped establish through his transformative performances. The legacy of Gary Oldman's villain work extends beyond entertainment into the realm of acting education. Drama schools now teach the psychological depth and research methods he pioneered, and young actors study his performances to understand how complete transformation is possible. His approach has become a masterclass in the art of disappearing into a role while maintaining the emotional safety necessary for long-term career success. Gary Oldman didn't just play villains, he redefined what it means to be a screen antagonist. Through complete psychological and physical transformation, he created characters so authentic and terrifying that they've influenced an entire generation of performers and writers. His work proves that the most effective villains aren't monsters, they're people. And that realization makes them infinitely more frightening than any special effect ever could.